You are now watching Zach Lesage, the best place to learn about competitive Pokemon TCG. Let's get it! What's poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, Zach Lesage here. Today we are going to be covering over a new deck from Fusion Strike. This is going to be Mew VMAX. Now, I won't be able to do gameplay because PTCG Live is not out yet, and I don't believe Fusion Strike cards will be available on PTCGO anytime soon, if at all. But it is one of those things where I do have a deck list that I created. I worked really hard on creating this deck list, and I really want to show you what a deck list for Mew would look like. I'll explain the strategies, what the cards do, and it's kind of something that I want to just get prepared for with this new set so everyone gets their information first so they know exactly what my thoughts are on these decks heading into a new set. If you haven't already, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump into this deck list to see exactly what's going on. So here we have it, the Mew VMAX deck in all of its glory. This deck looks absolutely awesome, and the written version's also going to be in the description below, so if you want to look at some of these cards later on and kind of go through your own way of looking at this deck, or maybe you want to mess around with it, it's all there for you to do it. So we're going to start off with Mew VMAX, and really what does this deck base around? So similar to other Mew and Mewtwo based decks, it's all based on copying other Pokemon's attacks. Mew VMAX is a Fusion Strike Pokemon, like all of the Pokemon in this deck, and its double colorless attack for 2 colorless energy, cross Fusion Strike, allows you to choose one of your bench Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. It doesn't mention anything as the energy attack cost, so you could easily copy something like your Genesect V that normally would cost metal, colorless, and you could totally copy that for 2 colorless energies. So a capture energy and a horror psychic energy definitely can do 210 damage for 2 colorless energies. That's a pretty efficient attack overall, and it allows you to do some cool things, especially with this set being based around Fusion Strike Pokemon. There's a few options to choose from. So that's really the goal, is you attack hard with cross Fusion Strike with your various attacks and use them to your expertise throughout the game. You also have access to the Psychic Max Miracle attack, which does 130 and goes through everything. So if your opponent has a Decidueye up in the active spot, or if they have access to a Zamazenta V or a Duraludon VMAX, Max Miracle can go through and hit for 130. So really the first Pokemon that we can copy is Mew V. For a Psychic Energy, it has its Energy Mix attack. Attach an energy from your discard, or an energy from your deck to one of your Fusion Strike Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So you have a way to just kind of accelerate energies if you need to. This deck is both the Mew and Mew VMAX both have free retreat. They're both weak to dark, so got something to worry about there if you face a dark deck. But I mean, free retreat, you get free retreat, energy mix, and attach to one of your Pokemon. It also has a really cool attack, and this is one of my favorite attacks in the deck, is Psycho Jump. You may shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it back into your deck, and it does 70. This is a great way to heal a Mew VMAX because you can copy it with your cross Fusion Strike attack and kind of put the Mew VMAX back in the deck if it's in the danger zone of getting knocked out. So it's like a built-in Acerola kind of type thing, or a built-in Cheryl, depending on when you've played Pokemon. It's a really good way to just kind of heal, get some of your energies back, and prepare for another Mew. You could always accelerate energies to that other Mew with Elesa's Sparkle. So that's the supporter card that's right under Mew, just below Mew. It allows you to search your deck for 2 Fusion Strike energy and attach them to your Fusion Pokemon in general. So you can you search your deck for 2 energies that are Fusion Strike and attach it to your Fusion Strike Pokemon. I don't think you could double up on the Pokemon. It's one of those things where that'd be a little bit broken. So yeah, you have to choose 2 of them and then search your Fusion Strike energy. You can't choose the same Pokemon and accelerate 2 energies. I could see that count totally moving up to 3, but it's one of those things where at the same time, if your Fusion Strike energies hit the discard pile, or if they're in your prize cards, it's not nearly as effective as other things. Genesect V is really where I think the deck kind of pops off. Its Fusion Strike system ability says once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have as many cards in your hand as you have Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. That's kind of broken, and the reason why it's broken is because you have only Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. We are a Fusion Strike deck, the same way Single Strike Urshifu is a single strike deck, and Rapid Strike Urshifu is a rapid strike deck, or Sylveon is a rapid strike deck. We work with the engines that we have available for us, and Genesect seems busted. You get to draw cards until you have as many as Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. So let's say if you have a 4-card hand, and you have 6 Pokemon in play that are Fusion Strike, you could draw 2 cards. Now, it's not saying that Fusion Strike system is limited to 1 ability per turn, so if you have 3 Genesect out or 4 Genesect out, you can use that ability, play a card, use that ability again. We've even seen how Suicune V, with its fleet-footed attack, is very good to just draw a card. This doesn't need to be in the active spot, it doesn't need to be anything. It's just a very good way to draw cards. That's why we are low on our draw supporters here, peeps. We have Fusion Strike system. That's the other reason why we play 4 copies of Old Cemetery. Old Cemetery, while often not seeing too much play, we have access to a stadium that is somewhat themed around Psychic type Pokemon, because we do want to get around Path to the Peak to stop our opponent from blocking Fusion Strike system. It also has a good attack where we're able to use Techno Blast, copy it with Mew's Cross Fusion Strike, and we're able to do 210 for 2 colorless energies. It means that we can attack during our next turn for that Pokemon, but we could also retreat into another Mew and figure something else out. So Genesect, very good overall. The other one that we have is Latias. And I mean, don't get confused with Latios. So I might be pronouncing it, it might be Latias. I'm gonna give it Latias. Okay, we're gonna give it with the AS, the hard AS. We're not using it for its ability, we're using it for its option to copy Dyna Barrier. So for 70 damage, during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your Pokemon VMAX. Back in the Mewtwo and Mew GX days, we were able to use things such as Latios GX to stop our opponent's tag team Pokemon from attacking. So you get a little bit of chip damage, and then you might hit hard with a Genesect V afterwards. It's one of those things where stopping your opponent's Pokemon VMAX from attacking for a turn if they don't have a boss's orders, or a catcher, or a cross switcher, or something, they might be in a little bit of trouble. Oricorio, to me, as soon as I saw this card, had to be included in this deck. We're not necessarily using it for its attack seems worthwhile, but its Ardent Lessons ability, your Fusion Strike Pokemon take 20 damage less from your opponent's attack. You can only use that ability once. It's one of those things, not like once ever, but like once overall. You can't stack Ardent Lessons to have -40 or anything, it's just -20. It also has Dripping Passion, so you could place 5 damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon however which way you like. I think it just adds a bunch of versatility to the deck, and when players start adding up damage, there's a very good chance that they can get that wrong, or that their Pokemon cannot necessarily, that's the word we're looking for, necessarily reach the 310 or whatever they were trying to do. All of our Pokemon are Fusion Strike. This works out great to get an extra Pokemon in play for Genesect. Reducing damage is absolutely busted. I like it. The last Pokemon that we have to really attack with is going to be Meloetta. Meloetta for Psychic Colorless, again, Cross Fusion Strike allows us to copy it for Colorless. It does 70 damage for each Fusion Strike energy card attached to any of your Pokemon in play. So that means that you could do 280 damage, and I think if you just have 4 Fusion Strike energies in play, or even 3 in play, it's a really efficient attack that can hit really hard. So that's really the goal. We're just going to be copying and cycling through those attacks, finding the ones that hit the most. One thing that I do want to note is we have the Power Tablet, or the Power Pill. During this turn, your Fusion Strike Pokemon's attack do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And yes, that is a stackable effect. So you're able to just play down a few Power Tablets and do 30 extra damage at a time. So 30, 60, 90, 120. So you could bring Cross Fusion Strike copying Genesect from 210 to 240. Maybe that's going to be able to knock at a Pokemon V. Or maybe you're going to be able to do Meloetta, drop 2 Power Tablets, hit for 340. By copying all your Fusion Strike energy in play. This allows you to hit for some big numbers, so it makes this deck fairly skillful on the attacks that you choose and how much damage output you want to choose. We have Marnie, just because I think Marnie is a really good way for us to lower our hand size while being able to utilize Genesect and draw extra cards. I think Judge might actually end up being better at some point, because we also get the reprint of Judge in the set, which allows both players to shuffle their hands into their deck and draw 4 cards. I think Judge could be a really cool way for us to maybe draw less, or maybe shuffle our opponent's hand up so they don't necessarily have those cards at the bottom of their deck. Might be better, might be situational, not sure. The big card that we also have to the far right is Chili, Cilan, and Cress. So as a supporter card, it allows you to search your deck for up to 3 Fusion Strike Pokemon and reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. I think it's a really cool way for us to search out things like Genesect V, which is now draw power. So even though we don't have too many draw power supporters, we literally have it limited to Marnie. Genesect V is kind of like a great way for us to accelerate and draw cards. So we can grab out a couple copies of those, draw some cards. We could also grab out Mew VMAX this way. So I think it's a cute way to kind of get this Fusion Strike deck set up. Again, we have the Elesa Sparkle to accelerate energies, and now Boss's Orders, just to bring up whichever Pokemon we want. Of course, Boss seems really good. We already went over the Power Pill or Power Tablet, depending on the translation website you're using. Quick Ball is a great way to search out any of the Pokemon we need, fill up your bench for Genesect V, give yourself more options in this predominantly basic type deck to give yourself options with Cross Fusion Strike. I like that you could lower your hand size for Genesect V and then draw more cards with your Fusion Strike system ability. That's why we have cards like Pokemon Catcher instead of going for Extra Boss. It's cards that we could waste in our hands, so we're able to draw more cards with Genesect's ability. And we could just bring up Pokemon however we want and kind of gobble them. So we're a fairly quick beat down deck with a various amount of attacks, damage outputs, effects. So you can see how the deck gets fairly strategic quickly. Got a couple copies of Switch just in case you need to get around just an effect like Genesect's where you can't attack during your next turn. You could switch out of that, or maybe your opponent brought up a Genesect and you just want to get out of that. Tool Scrapper seems very good as well, just in case you want to, your opponent's playing like a Suicune, for example. Suicune V would just get knocked out with Genesect V's attack doing 210, so that means Mew can just get a knockout there instead of having to waste a Power Tablet. So it's kind of like a 5th Power Tablet or Power Pill, or there's just random things that you might want to scrapper away during a game. Ordinary Rod is in case something like an Oricorio hits the field and your opponent just decides to knock it out. It might be worthwhile for you to have access to that card again. I'd almost like adding a Psychic Energy, a basic Psychic Energy or two, just to get them back with Ordinary Rod, but I figured right now, just getting the concept out there is probably worthwhile, because I've looked on YouTube and there's no standard Mew VMAX lists that seem to be put together well. And that's not any shade on anyone who's put any lists together. A lot of them are early Japanese speculation lists, or they're not necessarily like the most competitive version of this deck. And that's not to say that my list is perfect. I think my list is probably far from perfect. But I do want to give everyone like my good first effort, my really strong first effort. And when I say first effort, I put a few hours of Theorymon and just using all my experience playing from 2005 to 2021 into a brand new deck. So everyone has access to these lists first. Air Balloon is a great way just to slap onto a Genesect V. I think it's worthwhile. That Pokemon has 2 retreats. Nothing in this deck has more than 2 retreat. Maybe we need to cut an Air Balloon. I just figured it was worthwhile for us to have ways around things just in general. We had that Old Cemetery. Again, we might be able to get some extra damage counters off with that. So not always just Power Pill. We have ways to accelerate damage or increase damage output with Old Cemetery in unique ways. Fusion Strike Energy allows you, it just needs to be attached to a Fusion Strike Pokemon. It counts as all energies, but only one at a time. And it also cannot be affected by abilities. So your opponent's Inteleon cannot grab this and do extra 20 damage or anything else like that. There's nothing that's like crazy good with Fusion Strike Energy, but I mean, reducing quick shooting damage or Galarian Zigzagoon damage can be certainly very good. And the fact that it's searchable with Elesa Sparkle and it can be used to power up even like a Genesect V or even a Latias or even an Oricorio, like we have ways to attack. Capture Energy just seems right, since you can have 2 colorless energies for Cross Fusion Strike on Mew VMAX. So it just search out your Pokemon, sounds good. And then there's 4 Horror Psychic Energies. We are a Psychic Energy using deck. And I mean, we're a Psychic Pokemon, so let's get some extra damage out there. So between Power Tablet, Power Pill, Horror Psychic Energy, and Old Cemetery, we might be able to get closer to some knockouts than most players can realize. So this is what we got from Mew VMAX. I'll also include a link to the translation. I like using Justin Basil. They use other translation websites between Cerebi.net and PokeBeach, but I think they have the most nicest presentation of just like showing what the cards are in the sets. So I like throwing out praise and credit where I can. It's a website that I totally use all the time, and if I find out better websites, I will totally let you know, but that's the one that I always use for any upcoming set releases. But yeah, Mew VMAX seems really vicious, copying all these different attacks and being really good. Let me know in the comments below if you have a Mew VMAX list and you're like, yo, this is a tech that I included in the deck, or this is a Fusion Strike Pokemon that you totally missed, Zach. It's coming out in the set, or it's coming out as a promo, or Zach, this card's stupid and I'll tell you why. Let's spark a discussion. I'd love to kind of see exactly what's going on with these decks, especially with an early list. I have no tournament games with this deck. I have not had an extensive amount of testing with this deck. It's basically all theory. That's where I really want to put things out there. But I think this list looks pretty well polished, and I think my deck building skills can kind of show early on in a format. So this is what we got going on here, peeps, for the deck. And again, the list is in the description, so you can grab it however you like. And that's what we got going on for this video today, peeps. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this kind of new thing. I'm going to be covering over the next few Fusion Strike decks like this, going through an extensive deck profile, because of course we don't necessarily have gameplay available to us right now, but it does allow us to have kind of a starting deck list so you can plug and play. And I do want to be a resource for every player who's playing PTCGO, PTCG Live. I know they've just announced in real life Pokemon events returning very recently, and we have a regional schedule now. So if anyone wants information, I want to be that channel where I'm like, here's your most competitive information. That's really where my channel's goal is to be. I always want to just kind of offer my knowledge to the community wherever possible. And if anyone's interested, I also offer coaching as well. So be sure to check that out if you haven't got a chance to hit me up on Discord or on Twitter. My links are in the description. It'd be awesome if we can get a session scheduled. I allow all players of all skill levels to increase their knowledge of this game and just become better in general. That being said, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch up with y'all real soon with some more awesome content. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me. And my goal with this channel is to spread my love of the game and knowledge with our entire Pokemon TCG community. If you haven't already, help signal boost this video to other Pokemon TCG fans by liking it, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Hopefully we reach our goals really soon. Check out this recommended video, and have yourself a great day. Thanks.